Hello, welcome to Authentically You, where you're guided by light and you have all the power. Bear with me as I'm getting over a sinus infection and still a little nasally, but I'm feeling called to record this tonight, and that's what I'm gonna do. So, I hope everyone had a good full moon. Mine was good. I have a transmission that I want to share today. It came through on the full moon. It started coming through on the full moon, and so I wrote like the first few paragraphs then, and then last night I wrote the rest. The rest of it just flowed out of me. And so bear with me. I did do a few edits, rough edits here and there, because specific events were being named, and since it's something that I want to publish, I edited the specific names and stuff out. Nothing that we don't already know. So it's nothing that's like, oh, I'm keeping something secret or anything. It's stuff that's already happening in the collective, in society, but because this is something I want to publish, I left those things out. But anyway, so I'm gonna read it first. It's 7 pages, and then I want to just talk about it and expand on that as whatever else wants to come through will come through. And this is published on my blog. I have a blog on Podia. It's on my link tree. If anyone is interested on reading that in person, that's where it will be. And if no one has access to that, just let me know and I can send that. And so I titled it Authenticity is the New Revolution, the Return of the Feminine, the Fall of the Patriarchy, and the Rise of the True Self. It says, men are so fake that they'd rather blame women for their loneliness than admit they've been the problem all along. The patriarchy sold them an illusion that is now crumbling. They're scrambling as women find security in their independence, instead of staying trapped in homes where they're expected to give endless emotional and physical labor in exchange for nothing of real value. Women are waking up to how much of themselves they abandon just to keep the peace, and how much men have been siphoning from them without ever naming it. Men struggle with authenticity because they were conditioned to believe they were meant to be the head of the household, when in reality it was always meant to be the opposite. The feminine leads energetically. They have a direct channel to the divine through intuition and womb wisdom, and the masculine's role has always been to ground that spiritual clarity into the physical world. In nature, males court the feminine. Birds build intricate structures, peacocks display their feathers, wolves bring offerings. Every species has some ritual that proves devotion and capability. Why is it that humans are the only species where the males are exempt from that? It's wired in their biology, and humanity has been avoiding their own biological instincts for millennia because women have always been seen as a threat due to their intuitive abilities. Humans are the only species where males feel entitled to skip the work, and society enabled that entitlement for generations. Women have always had a connection to the divine, and it's been villainized by surprise, men. Witches weren't evil, they were intuitive. They had a connection to the divine that threatened the patriarchal system built by men. They were killed in an attempt to hide the truth, but the thing about truth is that it will eventually reveal itself in due time. We're seeing that play out in our society, where truths that have been hidden are starting to come up to the surface, and the rich and elite are scrambling to control the narrative. But there's nothing that can be done. This is how things were always meant to play out in order for humanity to evolve into their true nature. Many men have been conditioned so harshly away from emotional honesty and self-awareness that their identities crack under the pressure. The amount of men that are considered DL, meaning they're so ashamed of their sexual attraction for other men that they turn it into resentment and hate toward women. Many of them willing to resort to violence and murder if their desires were to be exposed to the public. Why? Because of a society that told them they have no worth if they don't feel attraction for the opposite sex. So we have generations of people living this way. These bloodlines going on, unable to heal that self-hatred, and it only gets passed down to the next generation because energy can't be destroyed. So the same wounds keep showing up because no one is doing the inner healing. Men need to wake up and start holding themselves and each other accountable. Women are expressing what's wrong at what needs to change, and men respond defensively, often hurling insults at the women speaking their truth. Women can't trust men to be alone with them because too many have been proven unsafe. A woman can't even be polite without it being taken as an invitation. And when she sets a boundary, some men lash out verbally or physically because their egos can't tolerate rejection due to their dysregulated nervous systems. The feminine's energy is sacred and it brings a lot of benefit to a man. The feminine's energy helps regulate a masculine's nervous system. It also protects and nurtures. It's why men thrive more in their careers when they're married than when they're single. Single men are more likely to die at a younger age than a man who's partnered with a feminine. In return, women will thrive with or without a man because they don't need the male's energy to lead a successful life. Many feminines leaving their marriages now is part of this great balancing where the collective energy has had enough overflow of masculine energy and is ready to bring back more of that feminine energy. It's clear that the patriarchal system that was created can no longer be held with this new energy. The world is shifting back toward balance, not by accident, but because the old system can no longer hold itself up. Energy always seeks balance, and we are all witnessing it happening in real time in our society and in our personal lives. This shift will affect all of humanity. Masculines are being restored to their original energetic templates of providers, grounders, and stabilizers. Feminines will embrace their intuitiveness and ground their heaven on earth with the help of the embodied masculine. When I refer to feminine and masculine, I'm not referring to gender. This doesn't mean a woman submits to her husband in the way that society conditioned us. Energy has polarity, and that polarity also exists within relationships through the provider-nurturer dynamics. The masculine provides through labor, and the feminine nurtures with her energy, but she decides how to best use that energy by following her intuition, as that is guidance from the divine. Both must do the inner work in order to become fully embodied in their respective polarity. The feminine won't fully trust her intuition until she truly believes she's worthy, and the male will resist this until he does the inner work to realize that's how it was always meant to be. Many care more about finding love than doing the inner work, and they don't realize that's what's keeping them from finding the true love the divine has for them because they don't feel worthy of it. They often find someone that shows them love, but it's not the true divine love that's meant for them. It's a karmic love, and karmic loves often come with difficult lessons that often lead to awakenings on their own. But many will keep finding karmic loves until they break their unhealed patterns. Karmic loves are meant to reflect the parts of you that need to be healed. Until it's healed, they will keep showing up through different relationships. Many feminines let the masculine get away with things they wouldn't normally allow because the fear of being alone is worse than allowing that behavior. The behavior will only get worse until the lesson is learned. That's the karmic's energetic role. They have no choice but to reflect that back to you until the cycle is closed. Many think it's not possible, but it's quantum physics. It's energetic law. When I speak about this through the lens of quantum physics, I'm speaking symbolically because energy influences one's identity and shapes the reality we perceive. Everything is created out of energy. We all learned it in science class. We are made of energy. Our DNA is energy. Our consciousness directs energy through our awareness in order to project what we experience. Essentially, we have our own simulation that's created through the energy that we allow to shape our identity. This includes thoughts and perceptions about ourselves and what we believe to be true about ourselves and our experiences. Some of these are conditioned in us through our family environments, and depending on what those environments are, they shape our identity of who we believe we are based on what others project onto us that we believe to be true and took on as our identity. The patriarchy has conditioned these dynamics where the masculine is favored and put into positions of power, and decisions are made from ego instead of intuition. This is why the feminine should lead, as she has a direct channel to the divine through her womb. A woman's womb, even without a physical womb, it's energetic, is that divine channel that transmits straight from the divine once the feminine aligns into her higher self, which can only be achieved through inner work. With this new collective shift, the energy is more responsive, and it will also start to add pressure to those souls who are here to do that inner work in this lifetime. Living will start to become uncomfortable, especially those that have been avoiding their inner pull to change. Some may start losing their jobs. Some may be called to move somewhere they've never been before. That's the soul coming online to fulfill the mission it agreed to fulfill before being born. But have no fear, as the temporary discomfort will bring great reward. This is when faith in the unknown will truly be tested, because one must learn to have faith in the unknown before seeing any fruits of their labor. The energy invested is the same type of energy that will be rewarded to you in abundance for enduring such a difficult but necessary journey. Many have already been on this journey for many years and are about to be showered with their own abundance for their efforts. They'll be gaining popularity due to their authenticity, as authenticity is the new currency in this new system. This will motivate others to do the inner work and create their own heaven on earth. Some will continue resisting, and that's okay. It's part of their own journey. One must not worry about anyone else's journey but their own. Everyone's journey is unique, and everyone has their own mission. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't as you continue trusting your own path and intuition. Always trust your intuition above all else. Some souls are here to heal their bloodlines. Others are here to manifest through pure awareness, while the rest aren't meant to be aware at all. It's all part of their own path. It's not up to anyone to force anyone into any path. Everyone's own energy ripples out to those in the collective, which means people around you will improve in their own way without having to do or say anything to them. Just by being who we are, we're doing the work. It's resonance. Authenticity is what our soul purpose is, but many have been avoiding it due to societal conditioning that makes them feel ashamed for being who they truly wish to be. Religion was created to distort the truth as an attempt to maintain the real truth hidden while keeping people conditioned through the patriarchy. Conditioning people to believe that they need to rely on a source outside of themselves to be saved of sin, that Jesus came to save man from spending eternity in hell. There is no heaven or hell. There are different realms of consciousness that are accessed, but none are fiery with an entity with horns. The sins that Jesus is meant to wash you away of is religious talk for the inner work that needs to be done in order to let one's true authenticity shine. That's what makes a person divine. There is no need to seek God outside of ourselves, as it's already within us. Our souls are made of divine energy that activates at a certain point in a person's journey through some type of event or wake-up call. Once a soul is activated, things in the person's environment will start shifting in order to allow the soul purpose to begin unfolding. Things will get uncomfortable for a person. That's their soul trying to guide them in the direction they're meant to go. But because a person has free will, they can choose to follow that guidance or not. However, free will is a mere illusion, because if someone spends their life avoiding their soul's guidance, their environment will start shifting in an attempt to get the person to listen to their soul. The energy will create more and more pressure until the person finally surrenders to their soul purpose. Our minds are so much more powerful than we realize. It's constantly taking in information and processing it, most of the time subconsciously. Our subconscious mind is like a hard drive of a computer. We constantly feed it information with our self-talk through whatever we accept as our truth. That information is processed through our brain, sending signals out to the universe that it's what we believe we are, and our mind has no choice but to project that as truth into our environment. It's been scientifically proven that our minds can create new neural pathways when we shift our identities through neuroplasticity. If you shift your identity into the more desired version of yourself you wish to be and take action as that new identity, you create new pathways in your brain which strengthens your new identity, and the old identity will essentially begin dying away. Meaning, the old habits you had that belonged to the old version of you will become less desirable because you've shifted into your new identity. Essentially, we're reprogramming our brains from the old, outdated conditioning into one that's more authentic to who we are meant to be. Living authentically is what makes us divine, and we don't need to seek for it outside, as it's already residing within us. We just have to let it bloom by following that inner guidance. If unsure what your inner guidance is telling you, follow your joy in everything you do, as that's the purpose of life itself. It's through this brain rewiring that we are meant to anchor heaven on earth. Through our own perceived awareness and inspiration, we are meant to live our lives as authentically as we can. Some souls have specific mission-driven purposes as it's part of their initiation into becoming higher-level soul or spirit guide, coming to earth to awaken, heal their karmic cycles, and teach others how it's done is part of their mission towards said initiation. We're about to experience a wave of these types of souls because they're meant to help Earth evolve and ascend into its true purpose, the one before everything got distorted by religion. We were taught that there is no right way to do life, and that's misleading. We are meant to live life guided by our soul, which means different things can be true at once, and that's okay. That's the beauty of this life and the many different souls who come to Earth from different lineages and purposes. It's part of each soul's mission and what they're meant to learn in their lifetime. One soul's experience doesn't invalidate another soul's just because they experience something different. The more you seek to be your most authentic self, the more divine you become. Becoming your most authentic self sheds layers of old beliefs and identities that were mostly projected onto you by others. But now that you've become aware, you've rewired your brain, and that old programming must go, dying with the old identity you've already shed when you shifted into your higher self identity. This will include getting rid of people in your life that no longer align with your new desired identity. If those people are meant to be in your life, they will return. But if not, they've served their purpose as your karmic lesson. Just how our brain sends out signals through the identity we embody, others' projections send signals to our subconscious. This is why it's important to protect yourself from these projections through intention, to ensure you can't be influenced by anyone's energy but your own. As you grow, your energy becomes more magnetic, which will make those no longer aligned with you uncomfortable. This is when friendships or relationships may shift or end completely, as the shift in identity raises one's energetic frequency and the frequency between people becomes a mismatch. Either the person will choose to grow with you or they'll fall away because their own wounds will start to become more obvious as you become more aware and healed. Some people won't like that they can't have influence on you like they used to, and you'll be exposed to those who were siphoning your energy for their own benefit. That's why boundaries become non-negotiable during this stage. You're in a chrysalis, and not everyone can enter that space with you. You're building your new identity, and it's important to be mindful on what energy you allow during this time. There's no wrong way to do this. Every decision is a part of the journey you're meant to embark on. There's no mistakes that can be made, as it's all a learning experience for your own growth and expansion. We're not meant to be living on survival mode, and right now, most of the collective is. We were conditioned to believe we're supposed to work tireless hours to make money and get the things we want, but that's another illusion that was created to keep us on survival mode. We're not meant to invest our energy into making someone else richer. We are meant to invest in ourselves and our own path. Through living authentically, we're meant to create. Creation is how the soul expresses itself. It stabilizes the new identity that's being embodied. Eventually, what we create will bring financial abundance, but before that can happen, the old identity around survival must die. That clears the pathway for abundance to flow. Abundance is inevitable if one is following their soul purpose, as it's part of divine reciprocity for fulfilling what you came here to do. Following your soul purpose doesn't require one to work with deities or magic unless you feel guided to. Seeking authenticity through just doing what you like to do is more than enough. There are some souls who are called to work with deities through energy work or other forms, and that's also valid and part of their own mission. Be wary of those that try to force their beliefs onto yours, as they're not being authentic. Using discernment is important in these types of situations, so you can distinguish who is authentic and who is just performing. The more you do inner work, the sharper your discernment will become, and you'll be able to catch those that are being inauthentic more easily. Because we're evolving and authenticity is becoming more of the norm, inauthenticity will be exposed more and more in society. That's just part of the collective's old identity dying off as more and more people embrace their authenticity. It will create a ripple into the collective until it fully evolves into what it was always meant to be. Unfortunately, part of this collective transformation will include things that have been hidden for many years to be exposed as part of the shedding of the collective's old identity. Bringing that up to the collective awareness will then cause a collective healing to make room for the new way of being. It's going to be painful and uncomfortable, but it's necessary in order for the collective to fully evolve and grow. The old world is dying, not because we're lost, but because we're finally remembering who we are. All right. Oh, wow. That almost took half an hour to read. That was a lot. And there's a lot of information on there that came through, which is mostly stuff that I've already been talking about, but I like how this came through in a psychological lens, because if someone doesn't feel spiritual, they don't have to be spiritual. It could be just work on their own psyche, which is still valid and still, like it said, even just doing what you want to do is more than enough. If just doing whatever you want to do is how you want to live your life without doing energy work, without rituals, that's totally fine too. Some souls are meant to do that, and that's okay too. And yeah, I think for me, it reflects it mirrors a lot of what I've experienced in my own journey. And I'm sure other people have talked about the same thing. I mean, this is stuff that has been taught for many, many years through, people like Bashar, Abraham Hicks, Neville Goddard, things like that. They each have their own version of this. And that's why a transmission is a transmission, right? And that's why energy is energy, because anyone can interpret it in different ways. It's like different perceptions, right? But it's still the same message, but it's told in different perceptions in different ways, because the souls resonate with different things, different information. So that's why there's no one right way to do things. There's no wrong way to do things. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the learning experience. And I think that's what really brought a lot of comfort for me during my journey, because I know there were moments where I'm like, am I doing this right? I don't know. Or seeing people in the spiritual community trying to tell people how things are supposed to be done, like making it seem like that's the only way when it's not. And that tripped me up a lot until I finally learned, no, okay, my way is right too. There's different ways to do things. And yeah, I hate seeing people trying to police others how their own spiritual journey is supposed to go. It's like, we already got that from organized religion. Like, we don't need it in the spiritual community. And those that are trying to tell you that this is the only way is wrong. And they're still operating from ego, or they're still in their own cycles that they haven't healed yet. So please just always trust your intuition. And as you grow, your intuition gets sharper. You start trusting yourself more. Like, I still get moments sometimes where I'll be like, wait, is that? And then, but like, I trust my body. My body does not lie, so like, my body is, and that's another thing too, so important. Just connecting with yourself and your body throughout this journey is also important. Being mindful. It's not about like trying to be boring or anything. And and that's also why there's so much media out there, because it's meant to distract us from taking times to ourselves to practice mindfulness and becoming aware of your body, because your body will tell you what, will confirm for you what feels right and what feels wrong. And that's how you build that trust in your intuition. And your discernment also gets better. Like, I'm at the point now where I can see people's motivations. Like, I read between the lines. I already, which I've always had this before I even started this journey too. And, when someone rubbed me the wrong way, I just would not, and I just knew they had bad vibes, and I was just like, no. And most of the time I was always right, that they weren't bad news eventually, or I was right to not trust them. But it's like that, but even like, it gets sharper and sharper the more you clear, the more you heal. And saying that you need to heal in order to find love, like, it has nothing to do with saying there's something wrong with you. That's not it either. And I've seen people posting that too, of like, oh, I'm tired of hearing that I need to heal in order to find love or something, and that they need to heal with their partner. And it's like, no, not necessarily. I mean, there's healing you need to do on your own before you can meet your person sometimes. Especially depending on your soul. Your soul has a soul contract, right, of things that your soul agreed to achieve. I don't want to say that you have to. I don't want to use that kind of language, so that's why I'm adjusting as I'm going. It's like a blueprint of what your soul said, okay, these are the things I'm going to achieve in this lifetime. And so some of that will include, okay, I need to clear all my karmic cycles before I meet my person. And at least that's what I learned about my journey, is I can't be with my person until I have healed all my karmic cycles, until I have healed all that, because our frequencies won't allow us to be able to be like good together without that constant run, like on and off dynamic, because of that. But other souls don't have to go through all that. It depends on the soul. So that's why it's important to just focus on yourself, get to know yourself, so you can learn what is it that what is it about yourself, like finding yourself. And don't do it because you're trying to find the person. I mean, you could use that as motivation, but don't let that be the only reason, because then it can take longer to get to that point if that's your main focus, especially if like there's stuff that you're being guided to clear and you haven't done it, or you keep avoiding it. It's just pushing your person back more, because especially if your soul contract indicates that you have to complete certain cycles before meeting them. And that's also the same with like twin flame dynamics and stuff too. It's like we have to clear all that stuff. The feminine has to be in her mission and be immersed in her mission before the masculine can even come back, because that's when he truly wakes up to the truth of who you are. But the feminine has to bring all that energy into herself first before the masculine can do that, because our energy, we don't realize even subconsciously how our energy is still reaching out to theirs. And because they have access to your energy still, even subconsciously, it's keeping them stagnant from doing anything. So that's what I've been learning in my journey. And, I've connected with my ancestors, and my ancestors have been helping me clear a lot of stuff from my bloodline. And a lot of you have ancestors that want to connect with you too. And this is soul level ancestry as well. Like I have ancestors from Mexico and stuff too, but I also have ancestors from like other countries too, Egypt and things, because of where my soul has been, because my soul is an older soul. And so when a soul is older, they've been through many, many, many lifetimes, as many, many different backgrounds and stuff like that. But I mostly work with my Mexican ancestors. So yeah, but I will expand more on it, and I do want to talk more about the masculine too as well eventually. But I mostly just wanted to, this was a lot, and I just want to leave it like that for now. For, if anyone's listening, to digest it. If you want to read it, you could read it on my blog. I apologize in advance for any typos or wonky sentences. I wasn't aiming for perfection right now. It felt more like a message that needed to get out just for the collective. And I do plan on of writing. I know more is coming. I know more is going to come through. This is going to be part of a series, I think, is what I'm getting. I'll share when I can, whenever I feel called to share. I plan on writing, but that's part of the creating. Creating doesn't necessarily have to be, you need to have talent in anything. It's building that talent from scratch sometimes. And I've always had a passion for writing, and for a long time I wrote fan fiction. But I lost the inspiration to write when my husband died, and after that I never really got back to it. And so now I'm like, I haven't really like written, like I've written a few things here and there. I journal a lot, but I haven't. And so I started this journal called Word Scramble. I decided to name it Word Scramble because I'm just writing anything that comes to my mind. Like I'll just And I've had some cool channelings come through too through there, but sometimes it's like things that don't really make sense, right? It doesn't. It's like it's just practicing the muscle for me, and just letting the inspiration come to me instead of me trying to force it. So if I don't feel the inspiration to write, I won't do it. I'm not going to force myself to do it. I'm not going to pressure myself like, oh, I got to write. I just do it if I feel called to do it. And I do that with my word scramble. Sometimes it's just a line, sometimes it's a few pages, sometimes it's a paragraph. And it's helped because it helped me write this. This is like the first full thing I write with a fully that I finished and published. So, published on my blog, but we all gotta start somewhere. And I'm not looking for like, oh, I don't need you guys to tell me I'm a good writer or not. Like, I'm not looking to be a good writer per se. I'm just looking to write what inspires me and post that. So I'm sure my writing will improve as I go. It's already improved from when I used to write back in the day, but that's part of it too. It's like if you've always wanted to draw, but you just never really got into it. Maybe you're meant to be an artist, and that's part of your journey to get into just trying to learn how to draw, how to paint, things like that. You don't have to know how to do or how to create right now in order to do it. You just have to follow your intuition and start the journey. And even if you don't know what you're meant to create yet, just start following your joy, and that inspiration will come. It will come to you through whatever you do that brings you joy. Through that joy, that's how, it'll all come together. So don't put so much pressure on yourself, or saying like, I want to start the journey, but I don't want to start till I know what I want to do. Like, don't do that. I mean, you can if you want, but I mean, the inspiration might never come if you wait for it to come. Like, it's like, start doing the inner work and the inspiration will come. And that's part of it too. It's like, that's why the inner work is important, because there's going to be a lot of souls that are going to become famous. They're going to become rich. And part of their mission is to share that wealth and things like that. But you have to be at a certain point and healed at a certain point where maybe right now that thought of like sharing your wealth with someone maybe it sounds ridiculous, or like right now, if you were to be that rich and famous right now, maybe you wouldn't have the capability to maintain it or something. You know what I mean? Like, but that's why you're being prepared to be able to hold that vision, or hold that until you're able to. You have to be healed enough to be able to do that, or to be able to believe that you can do it too, because a lot of us don't feel worthy of it, or feel like, oh no, I never wanted, I was like, I don't want attention. I don't want people to paying attention to me. And here I am being told I'm gonna be sharing about this stuff, and like teaching people about my own journey and helping people in their own journey. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I had to be prepared to be able to be like, okay, yeah, like I'll do that. Now I'm good with it. But at first I was like, what? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to become like popular and things. And even the thought of that would make me nervous. But now I'm like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And actually, it's going to be almost a year ago that I started this podcast. That it was on Christmas that I had the inspiration to start my podcast. I didn't know what I was going to talk about yet. I knew it was going to be spiritually related, but I didn't know what specifically. And so I started the page. And at the time I was like, oh, I'm not going to show my face or anything. And then, well, now I'm showing my face. So, see, I had to be ready to be able to show my face before I started. Because also with TikTok too, I was like, I don't want to show my face on TikTok when I'm talking about the stuff, but now I don't care. was like, no, I don't care. But yeah, so just to show you, like, back then I couldn't even fathom like being in front of a camera talking about this stuff, and here I am almost exactly a year later talking about this stuff, just sharing my story and telling people what worked for me and what has unfolded for me and what's continuing to unfold for me. So I hope that this brings some sort of inspiration to you. If any of it resonated, definitely follow that thread within yourself and see what spirit has in store for you. See what your inner self has in store for you. And I think a lot of us were hurt so much by religion, and I know that that can be hard. I struggled with it for a long time. I didn't want to call spirit God because it was a negative thing for me back then when I was still angry about my husband's death. And no, I don't care. No, I say God, spirit, Gus, the universe, energy, source. Source doesn't care what you refer to them as. You are the source. So it's you. It's coming from you. It's coming from your mind. And whatever it is that you feel works for you to get into be the best version of yourself, that's the correct way to do it. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone else try to influence you to do something again that you don't want to, that doesn't make you comfortable. If it doesn't feel good, it's not for you. Okay? But all right, I'll leave it at that. I love you all. Have a good have a good week. Today's Sunday, so Sunday, December 7th. So have a good week, everyone. Stay warm. We got a lot of snow here, more snow. So now we have like a foot of snow out. But snow always brings new beginnings. So just remember, you're doing the best that you can with what you have, and that's more than enough. I love you.